Government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. The idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. Let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative deficit, I can pay for the programs many times over. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. Oh, my Lord. That was so much fun. Anybody that missed members only with good logic really missed a really good show. It was super fun and very interesting. If you don't have a membership, be sure you actually turn those on. You do get some random gifts that do happen. Definitely check that out. It was so fun. Great interview tonight. Yes, thank you, Tweety. I appreciate it. Boomer, good to see you. Beautiful, always good to see you. Caitlin, what's up, dear? Good to see you, man. I only got like halfway through the Good Logic stream before this one started. But let's go. Heck yeah, let's go. Good to see y'all. Glad y'all here. We'll actually go ahead and get into this. I'm trying to actually shorten my shows. I don't want to do 5.5 hour shows. It's not something that I like to actually really do. I'd like to actually keep myself about 2.5 to 3 at the most. Let's see if we can't actually get this stuff that I actually have here in that period of time. I really think that I should be able to have no problem doing such a thing. I got to actually move one thing around just a little bit here. Let's share this screen. There will be a couple videos, so we'll watch some things. We'll go through some stuff. We'll have some fun with it, like we always do. All right. China warns U.S. over Taiwanese presidential candidate's visit. Beijing is warning the Biden administration that it may respond aggressively to a U.S. visit by Taiwanese Vice President Li Shangdi. Li will stay overnight in New York and Saturday before traveling to Paraguay. The ruling party's candidate from next January's presidential election, Li, will then visit San Francisco before heading home. China is furious. Why is China so furious over this particular situation? Does not make any sense to me whatsoever why they would actually be so furious over it. And if they're actually throwing out legitimate threats. We've actually seen them go ahead to the point of actually threatening the likeness of Nancy Pelosi when she headed over. They tried to threaten McCarthy when he was supposed to head over. And they keep on threatening people that they're going to actually do something as they actually try making their way into Taiwan. Now, this is actual, somebody that's from there that might actually have some kind of an issue with that. What's up, Billy the Kid Norwood? Good to see you. Thank you. I work on it. It's something that continues to grow, and it's really been a long couple of years of actually getting that growth out of it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. I received gifted membership, or to receive gifted memberships, click on the $ in the chat bar, click membership, go to the top by those little 3 dots. And yes, exactly. Allow gifted memberships. You just never know when you might actually want one, as I do have more stuff actually coming down the line. Trump for the win. Let's hope. What's up, Shizzy Wiznut? Is it working over on Twitter? It should be working over on Twitter as well. Yes. I got the Twitter. I got the Rumble. And I got the YouTube. Now, if you're over here on YouTube and you're just like, I don't want to ever miss anything that comes from Koolfrogg, be sure to go over to the Rumble side and subscribe over there, as I will not stop. Yes, join Discord. Anybody that actually has a gifted membership, if you show up tonight, you actually see that there is availability to actually get yourself through the community tab into Discord. There are several of us that actually sit there through a great period of time, most likely all day long. For some of us, it's very fun and very interesting, and you just never know what kind of conversation will come out of that. Back to the news. As the Communist Party's Central Foreign Affairs Commission-led Global Times newspaper put it on Friday, after a brief thaw brought by a string of trips by U.S. senior officials to Beijing, the U.S. has resumed its provocation on the Taiwan question. The newspaper warned that Li's visit, that if a diehard secessionist, will bring more danger and uncertainty. How Li's U.S. transit is handled would be an occasion for China to closely examine the attitude of the United States. Leaving no doubt as to the ire, the Global Times hinted that the military drills may follow Li's visit. If Biden administration wishes to avoid such unpleasantness, it should manage the words and actions of Li. Oh, we're supposed to actually go ahead and suppress whatever it is that he wants to say, however he wants to say it, and whenever he wants to say it, to actually make it be is such a thing. It's really kind of disturbing to think that, we need to actually manage his words and his actions to avoid him actually getting shot down on the way back. Quit threatening people, China. Quit trying to think that you're the ruler of the world and you get to tell people when to do something, how to do it. China is actually, to my opinion, has taken it too far, and they're going to continue to take it too far until it escalates to the point where they actually go ahead and attack that island of Taiwan, and we actually see something bad happen. Because then it's going to trigger the United States, because the United States has been very, very invested in Taiwan in itself, that they would actually go to the point of actually try to prevent China from actually taking over that island that the United States has so much interest in. What's up, Levy? Good to see you. First, the White House cannot control what Li says. He is running for president and will want to make some kind of impression during his U.S. visit. Whether it entails conciliatory rhetoric toward China of the kind that the Biden administration would prefer is unclear. At the same time, however, the White House cannot sacrifice the principle that Taiwanese officials are free to travel as they see fit. To do otherwise would encourage China's belief that it can cajole the United States into major secessions in the Taiwan matter. And yet, this concern is increasingly fraught with risk. Most U.S. military and intelligence analysts believe Chinese President Xi Jinping will order an invasion of the island to democracy by 2030. China's People's Liberation Army is training for the possibility and how to defeat a U.S. military intervention in Taiwan's support. As we've already sent billions of dollars worth of equipment to Taiwan, thinking that this is inevitable, I really see it happening sooner than later, and it could be very disturbing to see how soon something like that could actually occur. I'm not very happy with the happenings and the goings on of this world as it be. It really seems to be escalating too fast, and I don't want it to actually be that way. I wish we could actually go back to the easier times when war didn't seem to be something that was really U.S. led. Whereas when we actually look back and we actually realize that a majority of these wars that have actually happened around the world, whether they were civil wars of their own, the United States always has to have their hand in play, and it's always something that they feel necessary to actually get into. We are in the midst of World War III. I mean, do you call it World War III before you actually get to the extent of it actually already ending? And then listen, you're like, that was bad. That was bad. That was a huge amount of, was World War II called World War II before it actually ended? I doubt it. Do we actually realize that we're in World War III? I think only a handful of us in this world actually think and feel that we are actually in the midst of World War III, and that World War III is gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. World War IV won't be fought with guns and jets. It will be fought with sticks and stones. It could be very horrible to see what will actually happen if things continue to escalate. As things start to escalate, thousands of U.S. troops arrive in the Red Sea amid ratcheting Iran tensions. Now, we were told that we were going to send these particular warships within like the last week, and that they were actually going to actually descend into the Red Sea, and it would be something that we were going to actually do anyway. So these are the same warships, as well as there's a couple airplanes and a couple other 3,000 U.S. sailors and Marines that are out there that are actually willing to risk their lives for us to continue to live in this land of the free for what it is. More than 3,000 U.S. military personnel have arrived in Red Sea on board of 2 warships. Part of the beefed up response from the United States after alleged seizures of several civilian ships in Iran, the U.S. Navy said. The U.S. sailors and Marines entered the Red Sea on Sunday after transiting through the Suez Canal in a pronounced deployment. In U.S. Fifth Fleet said in the statement on Monday. The deployment adds to the growing U.S. military buildup in tense Gulf waterways, vital to the global oil trade, and led Tehran on Monday to accuse Washington of inflaming regional instability, which we actually watched Iran actually go ahead and do the same thing, because we actually bolstered our military into in around that area. They've actually gone to the point of actually pushing their troops as well closer to the Gulf and into the waters themselves. The U.S. military says Iran has either seized, attempted to take control of nearly 20 internationally flagged ships in the region over the past 2 years. They arrived on board. This is just in the last 2 years that they're actually counting. If we actually go back, and we, as far as we possibly could, to actually see how many boats were internationally flagged boats were actually tried to take control of, we'd see that there's a massive amount of them that have actually gone through that region that have been flagged or had been attacked, had been taken control of completely and brought back into Iran themselves, because, as if they can actually get the oil for free, why would they pay for it? They arrived on board of the USS Bataan, USS Carter Hall warships, providing greater flexibility and maritime capability. The Fifth Fleet, the statement from the Bahrain-based command added, The deployment adds to efforts to destabilizing activity and de-escalate regional tensions caused by Iran's harassment and seizures of merchant vessels. Fifth Fleet spokesperson and Commander Tim Hawkins told the AFP news agency USS Bataan is an amphibious assault ship that can carry fixed wing and rotary aircraft as well as landing aircraft. The USS Carter Hall, a dock landing ship, transports Marines and other gear and lands them ashore. In a Monday press conference, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani said U.S. deployments are only serving Washington's interests. The U.S. government's military presence in the region has never created security. Their interest in this region have always compelled them to fuel instability and insecurity. And we are deeply convinced that the countries of the Persian Gulf are capable of ensuring their own security. But yet again, we go ahead and we continue to deploy more and more military might from both sides. Everybody's continuing to actually push for something that isn't absolutely necessary. If Iran would stop actually trying to attack international flag boats, we might not have an issue at all. The latest deployment comes from Washington, said its forces blocked 2 attempts by Iran to seize commercial tankers in international waters off Oman in July 5th. The Maritime Service of Iran said 1 or 2 tankers in the Bahamian-flagged Richmond Voyager had collided with an Iranian vessel, seriously injuring 5 crew members, according to the state news agency IRNA. In April and early May, Iran seized 2 oil tankers within a week in regional waters. Those incidents came after Israel and the United States blamed Iran in November for what they said was a drone strike against a tanker operated by an Israeli-owned firm carrying gas oil off the coast of Oman. The U.S. announced last month that it would deploy a destroyer, F-35, F-16 warplanes, along with amphibious readiness groups and marine expeditionary units. In the Middle East is to deter Iran from seizing ships in the Gulf. Last week, the U.S. military said it was considering putting armed personnel on commercial ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz to stop Iran from harassing vessels, according to the Associated Press. So, as opposed to just being there, we're actually going to put our own U.S. military on personal craft to actually see if they can't actually prevent anything more from actually happening. I don't see Iran actually stopping what they've been doing. They've been doing this for a long time. For them to actually think that they would actually stop for whatever reason is kind of ridiculous in itself. As all this starts growing louder, I'm thinking everything that my brother is no longer in the Navy. I bet that actually eases tensions just a little bit. Iran, I promise, does not want any part of the U.S. military. I mean, then again, they have their own nuclear weapons and they have their own threats when it comes down to it. So, I mean, maybe they're not afraid of it, or maybe they are. We'll see. We'll see as tensions seem to be growing. In the past, when the dollar is in jeopardy, we have gone to war. Just saying. Yep, economic stuff has always brought us into war. Although it is becoming apparent that the current administration is aligned with the current events, hope I am wrong. I hope you're wrong as well. But I think we're both in the same mindset when it comes down to it. That there might just be something more to come out of this situations. Kind of move a little bit. Stop it. Haitians march on Port-au-Prince by the thousands as gang violence fatigue boils over. Really? Several thousand people with their faces covered and conceal their identities marched through Haiti's capital on Monday demanding protection from violent gangs who are pillaging neighborhoods in the capital of Port-au-Prince and beyond. Haitians' daily lives have been disrupted, and insistent gang violence that has worsened poverty across the country awaits decision at the UN Security Council over the potential deployment of international armed forces. We want security, the crowd chanted as they marched for 2 hours from a troubled community to Carrefour Foulis to Champ de Mars in the downtown area, and then to the prime minister's official residence, where police broke up the demonstration with tear gas. I can't work. I can't go out. I'm like a prisoner in my own home. Willie Joseph, a 36-year-old street vendor and mother of two who joined the march out of frustration. I worry about my kids being shot because bullets are flying from all directions all the time. Joseph said that her children are 5 and 7. The situation is unacceptable. Really, seriously, kind of interesting to see that there's gangs, droves of gangs that are running around actually trying to terrorize this particular island, and for what it's worth. And for them to actually do such a thing, it seems kind of off color to a point. Like, he's like, why would this happen? What's this really have to do with anything else? Is there more that's going along with it? Are they also feeling the crunch of, where, currency is actually, plummeting, and why it's actually, descending into this anarchy that is actually happening? It says on Monday, UNICEF announced an alarming spike of kidnappings with early 300 confirmed cases so far this year, almost equaling the number reported all last year, and almost 3 times the total for 2021. Kind of scary to actually think how far they've actually gone with this. The human trafficking is gross and disturbing. It shouldn't actually be something, in my opinion. The agency noted that women and children are increasingly being kidnapped and used as financial and tactical gain. Among those kidnapped in last July were Alex Dorsainville, a U.S. nurse from New Hampshire, and her young daughter. Dorsainville works at El Rio Haiti, a Christian organization that offers medical care, education, and other services. She and her daughter remain in the hands of their captors, who are demanding $1 million for ransom. Parents of young children are particularly fearful that the gangs will snatch them when they go in and when they go to and from school. Nashel Nore, 40, said her 2 boys, ages 10 and 8, have all have to call her every day as soon as they step inside their school, and she rides back home with them every afternoon. You don't know who's going to be the next target. It's kind of sad and scary to actually believe that this is actually something that's happening in that little region that they're in. So then down here it says, in late July, Kenya offered to lead multinational police force by the UN Security Council has yet to vote on a resolution to authorize a non-UN multinational mission. The U.S. said last week that it would put forward such a resolution. Why would the United States have anything to do with it? Oh, because it's another civil war that we just can't keep our noses out of, and we must actually interject at any point in time that we possibly can. Was hope that the island of Haiti is actually going to be okay in the long run. It maybe just be something that isn't really anything that we really need to worry ourselves about when it comes down to it. Is if the second that we worry ourselves about this kind of stuff, we actually get involved. That's terrifying. I'm already kind of scared of this shit. I live in an actual fear of trafficking, especially losing your kids to it would be massively traumatizing. Very much so. Very much so. I'm with you on that one. having this 3-year-old in the house really makes me not to want to actually send him to schools. Probably homeschooling him like we've already started doing, and refuse to actually go ahead and believe that he's going to be safe with anybody else. We've read so many times how these kids are not safe when other people's care, as they don't really pay attention to them as closely as they should. It's very sad and scary to believe. So then, to again, we kind of have the tendency to kind of pop around the world and check out all this world news. I'm gonna actually stop that for a second. We're gonna show this one with some sound, because it's a very, very loud explosion. This is a large. The blast injured 10 people and destroyed a bank of grain silos. A bank of grain silos in Turkey. Oh, gee, who would actually go ahead and do such a thing? It really? It really. Very loud and very large explosion for it to actually, be attacking grain silos, as we actually see, Russia actually sanctioning and stopping, Ukraine from being able to actually move grain in and out of that region of their own. To have grain silos like this actually be attacked by something, because I don't believe that these grain silos just spontaneously combusted. I really don't. I think there had to have been a lot more to it when it comes down to it. Yes, YouTube competition is very fierce at this hour. It really is. It really becomes something for these particular couple hours. It's hard to actually say who you should watch and who you shouldn't. Some days I actually get some good counts. Some days I don't. Earlier show I did. This one seems to be slowly picking up. Hopefully we get a couple more people come pop themselves in here. If you are in here and haven't done so, please hit that like button. I'm going to actually rewatch this video from another direction. As you can actually see, after the and they're all super concerned. Oh, take a video, hurry up, let's go check it out, see what's actually happening, see what's going on. Kind of scary to believe that we actually slowly go through here. So you can see before the explosion actually happens, if you watch you can see the smoke come out of it. So it really seriously kind of interesting. You don't see something coming at it. You only see something coming out of it. Slowly starts. Just a massive, massive explosion for what it is. So here it says the explosion occurred at mid-afternoon on Monday with Durance Mayor Ziki telling local media that it originated in a block of government-owned grain silos and felt like a violent earthquake. 10 people were injured in serious condition in nearby hospital. Lost for words when it comes down to it, what this could have actually been that would have actually made this particular occurrence happen. Did somebody attack it? Will we ever find out? Is it something that's going to be similar to the explosion in there was an explosion that occurred a few years ago that was in another style of silo that actually created quite an explosion, like a very large area. And they still haven't actually been able to come up with the reason why that happened either. And I doubt they're actually just going to come straight out and say, "Oh, we did it." Nobody's going to actually, speak up and say, "Oh, we did it." Was it spontaneous? It could have been, but I doubt it. Um, is the government versus the people? That's the real war. You might not be wrong. Wait, I missed it. What caused the explosion? Was it a missile? We don't know. We don't know. Nobody's actually seriously said what actually caused this to happen. It's just injured in an explosion, and nobody actually knows exactly. It's just the explosion occurred mid-afternoon. It doesn't say that it was hit by a missile. Doesn't say that it spontaneously combusted. It doesn't say any of that. It just really seriously. It's very vague and just says, "Oh, this actually happened today," without telling us exactly. Wheat dust compression. I doubt it. I doubt it. I really do. There's no way that actually was just so happened to be that, especially in the emergency when it comes down to the need for grain in and around the nations of the world that need stuff, to actually go ahead and us and have this, spontaneously occur. I don't believe it's spontaneous. I believe there's a lot more to it. But they're going to actually try writing it off as being that wheat dust compression. I don't see it. I don't see that being the actual reason somebody lit a cigarette. I, maybe, maybe, but would that be enough to actually cause this to happen? It's kind of scary and disturbing. I don't see it being the wheat dust compression. I really don't. There has to be more to it. On to some United States issues. Just global warming, Frog? Yeah, okay. What's up, Go Hagen? Good to see you. I'm the conspiracy theorist? Kind of make me wonder there sometimes, Go Hagen. The stock market's about to tank. Oh, maybe. Biden's SEC chief warns AI technology could trigger financial collapse. Oh. Not that they're attacking the food supply or anything. Democratic President Joe Biden's Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler has issued a grim dystopian warning about artificial intelligence. Gensler has warned that the fears of AI technology could trigger global financial collapse. The SEC chair said during an interview with the New York Times that AI will play a major role in upcoming financial crises. The outlet reported Monday. As a few dominant AI models emerge in the United States, masses of Americans could make the same financial decisions due to receiving identical information from them. As a result, Gensler warned about the significance of hurting when it comes to AI-related financial crises in the future. This technology will be the center of future crises, future financial crises. It has to do with the powerful set of economics around scale and networks. AI models may seek to benefit companies and financial advisors over investors, which is a potential issue, Gensler explained, according to the New York Times. The warning from Gensler comes amid a rush of developed AI technology. Globalists have been hailing AI as a way to replace humans in many aspects of society. The World Economic Forum recently laid out the globalist organization vision for humanity as soon dominated by emotionless AI. Yuval Noah Harari, the senior advisor for the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab, right-hand man, pushed a plan for politicians around the world to be replaced with non-organic entities and emotionless algorithms. Speaking during an interview, Harari declared that Earth will become increasingly populated or even dominated by entities that are not organic in the coming years. He suggested that these entities will have no use for a higher power because they will be in effect replace God in his view. They don't breathe. They don't have emotions. Harari said excitedly after explaining why these AI overlords would do or would be godless. The potential for AI is much, much bigger than any historical revolution. It's really a biological revolution he wants on the state. While acknowledging that up until now, all life is organic, Harari insists that AI driven organic life forms will soon dominate the planet. This is at least the idea of inorganic life forms. That's the biggest thing that's happened on Earth in over 4 billion years. As Slay News reported last year, Harari announced that the World Economic Forum and its allies had created a technological Noah's Ark. He gloated that the plan will help globalist elites escape a looming mass extinction event. The more recently, while giving a talk on the future of humanity, Harari called for the Bible to be rewritten by artificial intelligence, as Slay News reported. The World Economic Forum argues that using AI to replace scriptures will create unified religions that are actually correct. According to Harari, the power of AI can be harnessed and used to reshape spirituality into the World Economic Forum's globalist vision of equity and inclusivism. So, AI in itself, something that I really find to not be as intelligent as most like to actually believe it to be, is going to become an inorganic intelligence that would actually go ahead and be able to populate the planet in itself as opposed to having human beings. And there's no reason to have any religion whatsoever because they don't believe that there's a God. There's no reason for one. And there's no reason for us to even worry about such a thing. It's really seriously kind of really upsetting to believe how far the World Economic Forum has decided to go with such a thing. And they continue to push for this to actually be something that isn't necessarily needed or even wanted. I really don't like it. And I find it grossly disturbing that we all think it might just be so cool to play with an AI and try teaching it something, try making it to, be dominant over, whatever we want it to be. I really don't like it. It's really scary. And this guy kind of looks like he might just be one already. Thank you, SCCE chief, for going ahead and saying such a thing. I do not appreciate you, Chairman Gary Gensler, for actually pointing this out, as it makes me scared for the rest of us to actually believe we might actually just be replaced by robots, like they've been saying for centuries. They've actually there's always been books about that you're being replaced by robots, movies from Terminator to iRobot to whatever. It really seriously, it's gone too far. It's gone too far. And it's going to only get worse as we go. Okay, Jerry. Fun, interesting. Robots, never going to happen. It almost seems like it shouldn't happen, as it's just a story that's been told to us that something like this would actually come to be. Whereas everything that has actually happened within the last few years seems to exceedingly bringing us closer toward just that. Hopefully you're right, Billy the Kid Norwood. I hope you're right. I really do. Robots with a mechanic class of humans to keep them running, and the WF at the top. It's their power fantasy. Of course it is. Of course it is. kind of really seriously, every time I see something about the I have the tendency to bring it up and actually try bringing it into play. That particular instance of something like that happening, that one was more about saying that it would actually be able to take over and economically actually destroy the world, causing us to actually just die out due to potential famine or starvation in itself. And hopefully they get this stuff created that will be able to create more before we all die out from the idiocy of this world. Their power comes from the fear that they create. Do not fall for their lies. I'm with you, Billy the Kid. I'm really with you, but we'll see. We'll all see, I guess. Does one remember the movie Chappie or any other scary robot movies? Can't we just leave fiction alone, please? Yes, leave it as fiction. Just leave it as that. I don't remember the particular movie myself, but I'm not one that really watches a lot of movies. I don't really get into movies, and I definitely don't get into science fiction. It's not something I ever really cared for. Yes, definitely turn on those gifted memberships. Do so. You just never know when you'd actually want one. You don't want to miss anything out that's coming in the future. Some industries would be safer with AI robots. My wife's machine type in another factory mauled a woman to death. Then they put some plastic guards. Really? I'd rather her fix the robot than work with the tool. I guess. I mean, it's just take less people to do the job. If you get a bunch of robots that it'd be like watching it like an industry that's making vehicles. At one point in time, it took all humans, and it took a long period of time for us to actually make it through that. Then all of a sudden, it came down to where we were actually able to modernize some of those things that they could actually put on the end of a robotic arm, and when it would move itself down a conveyor belt down to the next station, another robotic arm would come into play to do something, as opposed to actually taking two people to do the job. The robot was able to do it in one and eliminated those jobs. And now we're going to actually move into the future. We're going to actually see more and more of that actually happening over and over again. Kind of scary to actually believe how far this will actually go. You got gifts checked. All right. Well, make sure that you actually pay attention to those, because there's we did a show tonight already, or I did, with Good Logic, where we actually held the conversation about politics in itself. It was a very awesome conversation. Actually, that was actually had. It was very appreciated, him actually coming through. I do have a couple more lawyers coming through. Got MLS Law coming through. I have the Broken Baker coming through, as well as having people like Divinity and Nova and Madcore. Mofo also scheduled to actually run shows with me, and I got a lot more coming down the line that are all members only streams. Be sure to actually try picking one of those up if you can, to not miss those shows. Dan Bongino exposes overwhelming evidence to convict Biden outside of the bank records. Oh, really? Now, Dan Bongino, is a service member of his own, a Secret Service member of his own, retired, turned into a news commentator, political, enthusiast in himself. Social media is something that actually find him almost anywhere and everywhere. I really like the guy, and for what he has and had been, I really do appreciate him. He's actually kind of fun to watch. I hurt my back delivering mail. If your robots deliver mail, I'd have to have done something less dangerous. Oil-filled trucking, many industries with high injury and deaths Could AI and safer? I mean, right? Massive amount of wind farms that are around you. We can send drones up to actually go ahead and to actually oil the machinery as opposed to actually sending somebody up making $65 an hour. Whatever. Tweety, Dan Bongino's credible 100%. Grain of salt with everybody. Dan Bongino made a case against Democratic President Joe Biden for producing evidence that has hailed the slam dunk in social media. Bongino, a former Secret Service agent, the Democrats are correct. Outside of the bank records of suspicious activity reports, the wire transfers, the private bank transactions, the LLCs, texts and emails, the WhatsApp messages, the photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, and voicemails to his son, two business partners saying Joe is the brand, the big guy, and the chairman. The two whistleblowers' testimony, the recorded phone calls between Biden and Poroshenko, the video of Joe Biden bragging about firing a Ukrainian prosecutor, and Hunter's statements that he's giving his dad half of his income. There's no evidence of Joe Biden being involved. Good call, guys, he added. The comments from Bongino come after Tucker Carlson got the star witness Devin Archer to come clean about what was really happening with the Biden family. Archer is a longtime friend and business partner of Hunter Biden, who recently testified before Congress. If you didn't actually catch the testimony, I actually read through the whole testimony. It took me about 5.5 hours, and I actually put some fun voices to it. It made it fun to actually listen to, as opposed to actually just listen to somebody in monotone voice say this guy said, that guy said. It was kind of fun and very interesting. At one point during an interview with Carlson, Archer admitted that putting Joe Biden in the speakerphone during business meetings was the abuse of soft power. Archer told Carlson that he needed Hunter in the team because he needed a guy who knew people in D.C. As Slay News reported, Archer and Hunter mainly worked on the regulatory side of business. However, when Carlson asked if Hunter had any experience with complex regulations, Archer laughed and said Hunter headed a team that did. Partial transcript. Tucker, you've got a lot of kids. You're close to them. Do you call them on speaker during business meetings? Do I call? Says Devin Archer. Well, is that a grown man calling his dad on the speakerphone during a business meeting? It's not just, hey, dad, I'm in a meeting with some buddies. It's let me put my dad and vice president on speaker. Yep, in the rear view, it's an abuse of soft power, I would say. Just an abuse of soft power. So, a very interesting, conversation between Devin Archer and Tucker themselves to actually see. And for Bongino to actually come out and says the Democrats are correct outside the bank records, suspicious activity reports, the wire transfers, the private banks, the transactions, the LLCs, and all of those things that actually all add up to all so much really could actually lead to this particular instance of, there could be more and more coming out. And Bongino just might be right. He might just be right when it comes down to actually say that there's plenty of reasons to actually go ahead and impeach Joe Biden for what it's worth. Maybe we should, and maybe we should actually listen to some of these people that are out there that are actually working the social media sites like we actually pay attention to every day, as when you come here, you listen to somebody off of social media actually giving you some input to actually go along with that. Really? There's nobody over on Rumble? Like 0 people watching? It's amazing. Y'all hit that like button over there if you're actually listening. Interesting how one show leads to the next and you get 0 people. Where's that body? What's up, Lucky Chucky? Good to see you. Social media equals cancer. Maybe. Do you think the world would be better without social media? Do you think that things would actually change if that was the case? Joe Biden gets lost after Houston Astros gift him a jersey and shuffles away through without answering questions again. Joe Biden welcomed Houston Astros to the White House today. It was kind of an interesting little ordeal that really doesn't really equate too much. But what happens afterward, usually we pay attention to it. He got the shirt and he's like, oh, what? Where do I go? What am I supposed to do? My old ass just shit my pants and I can't figure out where to go. Thank you. And so he salutes them, but he refused to salute his own Marines as he's boarding or exiting from either Air Force One or Marine One. He refuses to do such a thing. These people, on the other hand, they get a salute. You look at them, they're all laughing at him because he's such a bonehead that he does stupid things. Social media makes smart people smarter, but dumb people dumber, says Dry. Doesn't? Isn't that fun? And then we get to pick on these assholes when it comes down to it when they do stupid shit. I turned the volume off because I have this song behind it and I don't want to get yeeted for it. Refuses to answer any questions. He does not salute his own troops as he's walking through. This is my reason for playing this. It wasn't just because of his idiocy with the not knowing where am I going? Where do I go next? It's this shit. He turns around, salutes somebody that doesn't deserve to be saluted, and refuses to salute his own troops. Our commander-in-chief is an ignorant asshole that doesn't understand who he's actually supposed to be saluting. Yay for more clippable dumb Biden moments. Yeah, exactly. Welcome. Thank you for being a member for 4 months, Caitlin. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Have to have strong mentality or it'll eat you alive. Sure will. JB's a puppet supporting China. As well as Ukraine and other communistic or Yahtzee-like countries, as opposed to actually befriending those that are actually of capitalism and conservatism, because they're the racist ones. Mm-hmm. Yep, right. Yep. I don't think you really know Joe Biden. I think you're just ignorant to the point, and you're a dick. It breeds, it eats, it hates. Its only way to beat it is to think like it. There's someone in this earpiece. Okay, slit the troops. No, wrong direction. Just get over here. But that's exactly why I got pissed off with this clip today, was just that. Because he turns around and salutes the people that are up on the stage that are just baseball players that won something, and refuses to salute his own military. Commander-in-chief, he's not. Yes, chocolate chip ice cream cones. Yes, those are his favorite. So wrong in so many levels. We're going to pick on Joe Biden because we can. And we really like to pick on these people from The Voice for what it's worth because they're so fun to pick on. Hunter likes his ice cream as well. You think so? You think that's what he wants? Or are you sure he's actually not just going after the crack cocaine? The ABC talk show The View has been known for its raucous segments, including some in which the co-hosts target each other. On Friday, the precisely what happened. Republican Alyssa Griffin said that she would not be voting for President Joe Biden in 2024. Did they cut the clip again? They cut the clip. Them assholes. It's not as funny. Why do they do this to me every single time? It doesn't make it as funny. It's so much funnier to actually see the clip. They cut it. Assholes. Joe Biden, let me say something about Joe Biden. According to what I'm observing, the economy is booming. Inflation is down. The stock market is doing well. People are having an easier time putting bread on the table, etc. He doesn't seem to be getting the credit for what? Only 41% approval? Is it because they think he's old? Because I don't see anything else they can point to with him particularly. Yes, Joy Barrett gets a regular voice from me. Alyssa, well, that's a question for Democrats. No, that's a question for you, really. Why? Because you said you would not vote for Biden. Well, he's not voting for him anyway. But you said you would not vote for Biden. Let me talk about my vote, one vote. Sonny Hostin comes into play. Every vote counts, and every vote counts, and your vote counts. I'm going to tell you again, but I know you don't want to hear it. Right into the candidates that you know can't win. Why is your candidate not doing better than the Democrats? That's who he needs to win, the moderates and swing voters. Because they think he's old. That's why. Oh, well, then gestures to Bear like she has her answer. Listen, I'm the same age as Joe Biden. Good to know, Joy Bear, that you're also 80 years old, you old wretched hag. Fair. Joe Biden is not doing poorly because I won't vote for Joe Biden. Let me just make this abundantly clear. Ha 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 ha. Can I just, you guys, it's just chaos. Navarro says, first of all, I don't think Obama went into the Oval Office and had lunch with Biden to tell him you're a weak candidate, but tell him don't take anything for granted. And I think one of the problems Hillary had was that for too long, she thought Latinos are going to vote against Trump because it's Trump, and the African Americans will vote for me because I'm running against Trump. And that's Obama for saying to Biden is there's only one way to run in politics. You run hard and you run scared and you don't take any group for granted. And I actually like you, Joe. You were my vice president, unlike Trump's vice president, who was running against him. They have a great relationship, and Obama's here to say, I'm here for you whenever you need me. He's giving him good counsel, but we need good Republicans that will vote for the country before they vote for their party. That's what we need. Bear is reportedly upset with her colleagues during the recent show of mocking her as they discussed the incident in 2022 where she fell off of her chair live on air. In March 2022, Joy had to fall at the start of an episode, and her co-host had to help her up as the live studio audience watched in surprise. Now, 16 months later, Joy wanted to talk about the incident, but it led to a clash with Whoopi at 67. After the head panelists confessed something, it scared us so badly. As Joy attempted to explain the swivel chair caused her fall, Whoopi and the rest of the panel, including Sarah Haynes, Alyssa Farrah Griffin, and guest host Rachel Lindsay, burst into laughter and teased her about her excuse. You act like it's not true, Bear protested as her co host continued to giggle. But in reality, it was Bear who brought up the incident in the panel and discussing what happened to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell earlier in the week. It would have been a hell of a lot funnier if they would have allowed me to actually still play the clip. Jackholes, quit removing the clips. You're telling me that I can't play them. It was a lot funnier when it came from her. Sorry that was that way. That's happened too many times in the last couple of days. I'm going to have to start flagging Conservative Brief for their bullshit. That was supposed to be a nice little funny joke that went along in between before we actually got into some more business, but whatever. Gates threatens to subpoena Jack Smith, immunize Trump after the latest charges. Florida Republican Rep. Gates is threatened to call Jack Smith before congressional committee after special counsel filed new charges against him. Now, we've actually heard about this a couple times in the last 2 weeks that Gates has actually moved to the point of actually trying to do this. He actually wants to actually remove Jack Smith as actually being that person that's supposed to be looking into Trump and bring him up on charges of his own. Let's get down to not talking about that lady. House Republicans should immediately demand that Jack Smith present himself for a transcribed interview with Judiciary Committee in the next 15 days. If he does not do that, he should send a subpoena. If he ignores the subpoena, we should criminal contempt. And again, I've covered this. There's new stuff that's in here, though. He also said that he's prepared to try to use force in U.S. Attorney Merrick Garland's hand in the matter. If Merrick Garland doesn't enforce the contempt, then we ought to impeach Merrick Garland. To showcase how politically indeed dirty this has all become, we can utilize congressional immunities and immunize President Trump. He added, citing the section of statutory law since upheld by the Supreme Court that gives any committee or subcommittee of the Congress the power to subpoena a witness, bringing them in and partially immunize them. The law requires transactional immunity in exchange for compelled testimony. Transactional, in this sense, means that once a witness has been compelled to testify about the offense, he may never be prosecuted for that offense, no matter how much independent evidence might come out in the light, according to a constitutional explainer in Congress website. So again, I'll read the quote. Means that once a witness has been compelled to testify about an offense, he may never be prosecuted for that offense, no matter how much independent evidence might come to light. So if they can convince him to come forward and actually face Congress, they will be excluded from being able to actually prosecute him for anything that he actually did wrong in the process of this whole ordeal with Trump. Gates said it's necessary to stand up for Congress equities when it comes to election interference and when it comes to misuse of DOJ. This is all an effort to try to distract us from the very real crimes committed by Hunter and Joe. It's not a coincidence that Joe Biden is going to the beach now, but it's especially not a coincidence that in the heels of the former business partner, Devin Archer, saying that Joe Biden was functionally the closer, the guy that gave the credibility to the Biden brand so that it could engage in international influence peddling. This indictment reads like a torturing of First Amendment protected activity. So then it says last month, Gates actually introduced legislation to defund Smith's investigation. Matt Gaetz really seriously wants to defund Jack Smith and actually stop him from being able to continue doing what he's doing. It seems as though every single time we actually take a turn against Joe Biden, Jack Smith steps up and says, "Oh, look what we found about Trump. Let's indict him again. They're attacking our democracy, engaged in an election right now. The United States Congress has the capability to stop this election interference, and we must act immediately." In the video clip of this podcast posted along with his remarks, Gates argued that Trump would not be facing much legal jeopardy if he wasn't leading President Joe Biden in a growing number of polls. In addition, the GOP lawmaker ripped described the lack of transparency from the Justice Department regarding the actual involved in the probe, referencing concerns about the team of vicious Democrats who are part of the special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia collusion probe stemming from Trump's 2016 campaign. Gates is not going to stop. Gates is going to continue, and he's going to push forward to actually do anything and everything he possibly can to stop Jack Smith, to defund him, to actually remove him from being able to actually do this to anybody else ever again. He doesn't like him. He wants him gone. He wants him gone because he knows he's coming up with more and more lies about Trump. It's not how charges work. If I do coke and take a plea deal, and later they found out that I killed the dealer, guess what? That's two separate crimes. But that's not what they actually said. They're actually saying if he actually comes forward that they can't actually hold him liable for anything that he's actually done to and around Trump. So I mean, it's kind of an interesting ordeal in itself to actually believe that would actually be a thing. But then, it could actually go to the point of actually making it that, nothing could actually stick on anything that was actually brought up to and about Trump himself. It could be interesting to see where this actually goes in the long run. I don't see it being a good deal for anybody to actually try attacking an investigator. They might just find something on you if you continuously talk about them. What's up, Rose? Good to see you, dear. Hey, Clumsy. Awesome. Glad you're here. Y'all hit that like button if you can, if you haven't done so already. I know I got some competition that's actually running shows right now, so I get it. Just good logic, really? Sure. A couple other people actually doing things. It's a busy time frame at this point in time to actually sit there but whatever. I like actually being in competition. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Click the bell. Do all that stuff. Lick it, grind it, make it your friend. Do all those fun things. To the bell. Democrats panic as Judge Cannon overrules Jack Smith. And this is the reason that we brought that up, so that we can actually get back into some of this other stuff that's actually happened. So now the judge overrules Jack Smith, basically inviting Trump to submit motions to dismiss the case. Judge Eileen Cannon has struck down two of special counsel Jack Smith's sealed filings in the ruling of President Donald Trump's document case, sending Democrat legal analysis into a panic. Reporter Kyle Cheney said Judge Cannon comes out swinging at special counsel this morning, striking two prosecutors' sealed filings and demanding an explanation for the legal propriety of using an out-of-district grand jury proceeding to continue to investigate the doc's case. Reporter Julie Kelly said, "I told you Judge Cannon is legit. She is not going to tolerate Jack Smith's bullshit. This is gold." She asked defense to raise possible grand jury abuse by DOJ for conducting nearly all the investigations in D.C. when switching to FLA at last minute for indictment. Cannon also won't tolerate DOJ's nonstop request for secrecy. She already denied a government motion asking to keep names of 80 plus witnesses under seal. MSNBC analyst Joyce Allen called for the removal of Cannon, a Trump appointee. Of course, the analysts would actually go ahead and do that, because what's an MSNBC analyst going to do otherwise other than analyze anything else that might be of relevance? But yes, was asked that she be removed as Trump's appointed judge because, she might actually be doing something good for Trump, and nobody can ever do that. Nobody can ever do that. If you actually do that, you might actually be a racist or something. Judge Cannon responds to the government's request for a hearing on Nada's lawyer conflicts and discloses the existence of the grand jury investigation in another district while denying government's motion to seal. The government can appeal. This may tee up an issue in her fitness in her case, looking like a good week to ask the 11th Circuit to replace the judge. Replacing the judge is not something that you should really even think of doing, but okay, let's replace that judge. Fine, let's do it. If you're going to replace that judge, let's go ahead and actually go along with what Donald Trump would like to do and actually move the other case on J6 stuff from the capital of DC into West Virginia so that he could potentially get a better case out of it. You want to move one off of one side saying what we need to actually move venues, you move the other as well. Maybe just stop pulling the bullshit and quit lying to us about the reasons that you actually want to go after people. Liberal media group Midas Touch, don't overlook the footnotes. The footnote in Judge Cannon's response is basically inviting Trump to submit a motion to dismiss the case referencing Rule 12b. And maybe he should. Maybe he should be able to actually do just that. Judge Cannon responds to the government's request and hearing on Nada's lawyer's conflicts and discloses the existence of grand jury investigation. In another district, while denying government's motion to seal, the government can appeal. This may tee up an issue for the witness in the case. While Nada shall file response in the motion of Garcia hearing on or before August 17, 2023, among those topics raised in the motion, the response shall address the legal propriety of using out-of-district grand jury proceedings. In continuing to investigate and to seek post-indictment hearings on matters pertinent to the instant indicted matter of the district, the special counsel shall respond to the decision of reply in support of the motion due on before August 22nd. Remaining defendant may, but are not required to file a brief for the one related to the grand jury issue referenced herein, but any such briefs are due on August 17th and may be submitted to combined in individual fashion. In her ruling, Judge Cannon wrote, the special counsel states the conclusionary term that the supplement should be sealed from public view to comport with the grand jury's secrecy, but the motion for leave and supplement plainly failed to satisfy the burden of the establishing a sufficient legal and factual basis to warrant sealing the motion and supplement. Why? I don't get why they want all this sealed so badly. And kept away from the public and kept away from Trump being able to actually see it himself, and going ahead and actually making it be that that we don't even know what's actually in play. Among other topics is raised in the motion, the response shall address the legal propriety of using an out-of-district grand jury proceeding to continue investigate and or seek post-indictment hearings on matters pertinent to the instant indicted matter in this district. Kind of interesting that they've actually gone to the point where she actually's gone ahead and said stop with the sealed documents and release them, let them actually do their own investigation on and let them see what's actually in these documents. This Trump appointed judge could actually save him in this particular case. It should be fun to actually see if they actually go to the point of actually televising that case as well. The Pelosi factor, Trump's longtime antagonist, played an essential role in historic indictment. Um, if you're going to draw up a list of people most responsible for the latest indictment of Donald Trump, the former president himself would be at the top, followed by prosecutors who are brought to the case. Republicans in Congress perversely deserve a great deal of credit to, since they exiled Trump from political life and perhaps spared him more intense legal scrutiny if they had voted to convict him in the impeachment trial over his role in the siege of J6. Ultimately, however, you cannot tell the story of Trump's historic indictment without Nancy Pelosi. It was then Speaker of the House who insisted that there be congressional inquiry following J6, and that was the work of select committee she fashioned that finally appeared to have spurred a reluctant Justice Department to action, setting in motion a more intense phase of criminal scrutiny focused on Trump's effort to overturn 2020. The resulting indictment closely tracks the select committee's work and findings, presenting a factual narrative that traces almost identically the evidence presented by the committee of sophisticated, multi-pronged efforts of Trump to remain in power that culminated the mayhem of U.S. Capitol. I knew on J6 that he had committed a crime, Pelosi told late Friday afternoon, squeezing me in a roughly 30-minute interview at the tail end of a remarkable week in Washington. I wonder what was going through her head as someone who played an essential role in bringing about the most important criminal persecution in the history of this country. I was curious, in particular, when it had occurred to her that Trump's conduct following the 2020 election had not merely been politically destructive or outrageous, but may have crossed the line into actual criminality. During the Trump administration, Pelosi emerged as one of Trump's most persistent and effective political antagonists, and personal rancor between the two was often a public display. She went toe-to-toe with him in the Oval Office. She authorized the third ever impeachment in an American president after Trump's effort to shake down Ukrainian president to get dirt on Joe. She famously tore up Trump's 2020 State of the Union speech while standing behind him. As Trump supporters began to approach the Capitol in J6, Pelosi said that if Trump joined them, I'm going to punch him out. I've been waiting for this, for trespassing in the Capitol grounds. I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to be happy. The writer, I wish that would have actually happened. That would have been so great to actually see her try punching him out, try punching him in any way, shape, or form. Her old frail body would have just turned to dust, and maybe she wouldn't have been around any longer. But no, didn't actually happen, as Trump never actually took the walk to the Capitol grounds. The rioters proceeded to ransack her office. Instead of punching Trump, who was prevented from going to the Capitol by the Secret Service, Pelosi impeached him again. To this day, Pelosi seems to get under Trump's skin like no one else. Early Sunday morning, Trump called her a sick and demented psycho who will someday live in hell. And that just greatly might be what the issue actually is. Long before J6 itself, Pelosi had been preparing for Trump to try to disrupt the transfer of power. During the election, I thought he was going to try to pull a stunt, and we have to try to have as many states in the Democratic column is possible. She told me contemplating the possibility that Biden's victory might be certified and that the House would have to move to an obscure procedure in which each state's congressional delegations would cast a single vote to determine the next president. Trump promptly proceeded to. That would have been interesting if that would have occurred. That would have really been interesting to see if that would have occurred and see how many states would have actually gone the other way. I would have paid to actually see that. Trump promptly proceeded to validate the concern, undertaking an extraordinary effort to remain in power after Election Day by falsely claiming that he had done something that he technically didn't do, and that was win, by trying to work various levers and official power to stay in office. As we got closer to J6, I knew he was cooking up all these things, but what was he going to do about it? Pelosi recalled. It was clear that he knew he did not win the election. It was clear he had to disrupt the joint session of Congress to certify the election. As the indictment alleges, Trump did this not only by pressuring Vice President Mike Pence to illegally cast aside Biden electoral votes, but also by watching with the apparent pleasure as a mob tore through the Capitol and by exploiting the violence fed by his lies. When we saw what he did on J6, I knew it was a crime. Pelosi said she acknowledged that it is not possible to predict what can be proven successfully in court, but I know he committed a crime that day. After Biden inauguration, Pelosi set about to organize a bipartisan 9/11 commission type investigation into events that led to J6, but she was reportedly stymied by congressional Republicans. We yielded on every point, Pelosi recalled in negotiations with Republican counterparts at the time. We gave them an equal number of commission members, which we always would have done, equal member staff, equal member funding for everything, and equal subpoena power, which the majority gives away. But nonetheless, we did it because this is so awful for our country, so necessary to have this. In what turned out to be a historic miscalculation, Republican Minority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked the initiative in the Senate. We went around to members and said, do me a personal favor and do not vote for this, even though you knew that night and said that the Republican president was responsible. They didn't even want to have an investigation. Pelosi has earned a reputation as one of the most tactically savvy leaders in the history of Congress, and she chuckled as she recalled McConnell's maneuver. People said to Mitch, "You think Nancy's going to let this go? What could he have been thinking?" Pelosi then shifted gears in negotiating over a select committee of House and Republican leaders Kevin McCarthy, who took the project about his seriously, as McConnell had by proposing to name, among other people, bomb thrower Jim Jordan to the panel. Pelosi quickly decided that negotiations were not going anywhere, explaining that McCarthy wanted to appoint members who would totally undermine the committee. Okay, she recalled, thinking, that's really nice. So you get consultation as to who will serve in the committee, and I have consulted with you, and I've said no to who you want. That's the power of the speaker. Pelosi then assembled a group led by Democratic Chair Benny Thompson and Republican Vice Chair Liz Cheney, Rhino, along with 6 other Democrats and Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Rhino. It did not take long for the observers to conclude that McCarthy may have monumentally misplayed his hand, particularly after the committee produced a riveting series of hearings last summer. Yes, they were just riveting. They were so exciting and so boring. that seriously, anybody, we tried to actually sit through them. We actually played the first, I want to say we played the first, maybe the second night, and then went from there and I actually could not actually do a damn thing. Pelosi's historically an old hag. Good one to me. In the course of the discussion, Pelosi was reluctant to take any sort of credit, and the committee's work in Trump's indictment and exception for taking credit for the appointees on the committee, whom she described as providing a beautiful balance in our approach to crucial seriousness of purpose. Sure you did. Sure you did. But you still went ahead and you actually did what you did anyway. And you continuously went after him. You spent so much money trying to impeach a guy that did not deserve to actually be impeached. Yes, Frumble is another option just in case Koolfrogg ever gets heated. Definitely make your way over there. What's up, Darth Hideous? I see you over there. In the end, Pelosi told me the quality of membership and effectiveness of the staff and excellence in presentation made it one of the best presentations in the history of the country. Meanwhile, there were questions about the Justice Department as to doing address the potential criminal culpability of Trump and those of this orbit. The committee's members and staff are uncovering and presenting to the public's damaging evidence that they had obtained from Trump administration officials, but the DOJ is not pursuing those same threads. Despite political frustration among other observers, seemingly content with focusing on people who had stormed the Capitol or who played a role in organizing the violence that day. I asked Pelosi whether during this period she had ever tried to speak with Attorney General Merrick Garland, President Biden, or anyone in the White House about making sure the Justice Department was properly investigating Trump's conduct. No, she quickly responded, telling me that she did not think it was appropriate for her to try to influence the department's work behind closed doors. But yet again, she did just that. I did want them to pay attention, and I have, and I hope that we got their attention. That's why the presentation, the narrative, had to be the way it was. She explained, so that the public record could be clear and incredible as possible. We couldn't have people like the Republicans wanted to put on. We would be disruptive. Too much was at stake. Right. As opposed to actually put Jim and Jordan in the place where he should have actually been, she went ahead and said, no, we'll put some rhinos in place that actually will lose their jobs. Will lose their jobs and no longer be of any relevance whatsoever. Right, Liz Cheney? Because you lost your seat to who? Oh, yes, Harriet Hageman. Yes. Still, there is palpable anxiety among House Democrats about Justice Department's progress or lack thereof investigating Trump directly. That anxiety may have reached a high point in this June when the Washington Post published a remarkable 8,000-word story providing the most comprehensive account to date in the department's investigation into Trump's conduct. According to the Post, another 8,000 words right here. According to the Post, it took more than a year after January 6th before prosecutors and FBI agents jointly embarked on a formal probe of actions directed at the White House and tried to steal anything. And even then, the FBI stopped short of identifying the former president as a focus of that investigation. It felt as though the department was reacting to House committees' work, as well as heightened media coverage and commentary, and selecting the few videos that they wanted to select that actually could help them spin their narrative that they spun, as opposed to releasing everything and actually following along with procedures that go along with the whole situation. Now that Trump was indicted over this effort to steal, We are in the midst of singular amount of American history, one that will have democratic long-term implications for our country, and one that will likely be covered in history books for generations to come. The difference, of course, is that we lived through this period. We have no idea how it will end, and with Trump in prison or with Trump in the White House again. I asked Pelosi how she thought this would all end, and she struck a tentative but cautiously optimistic tone. As we always say, it all depends on what happens in the end of the day, but you have to determine what the end of the day is. Yesterday was the end of the day. The former president in the United States was arraigned, and that was a triumph for the truth. The indictments against the president are exquisite. Pelosi added, referring to both the latest set of charges and earlier federal indictment over Trump's hoarding of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago and subsequent efforts to obstruct investigators. They're beautiful and intricate, and they probably have a better chance at conviction than anything that I could come up with. As for the prospects for the second Trump term, Pelosi immediately recoiled when I brought it up. Don't even think of that. Don't think of the world being on fire. It cannot happen, and we will not be the United States of America. If he were the president, it would be criminal enterprise in the White House. Yes, criminal enterprise is in the White House. Gee, sounds kind of something, reminiscent of something that we're currently dealing with, doesn't it? Here was a time for American life, not that long ago, when that would have been clear hyperbole, as are categorically different times. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi, for your awful words of wisdom that really seriously fall on deaf ears when it comes down to it. Not that many people actually believe your hag ass when it comes down to it, because nobody wants to listen to what you actually have to say. It just took me in all my might to actually just read this stupid article with the stuff that you had to actually say, and with your ignorance. Yes, with your ignorance. It really seriously was a lot. It took a lot of power out of me. I can't deal with that bitch. Former D.C. police officer's reaction to Trump's third indictment is rather insane. Former D.C. police officer Michael Fanone was one of the key witnesses that testified before the House Select Committee at J6 attack. His testimony provided that Democrats thought would be a compelling account of events that they, through the eye of law enforcement, a not so subtle way to attack the GOP's pro-law and order stance, which if used to hammer progressives, is ineffective for the numerous reasons, but least because no one cares about J6 anymore. Absolutely nobody cares about this shit anymore. Why am I covering it? Because somebody has to. Nobody wants to cover J6 because they're afraid to. They're afraid to. They don't want anything to do with it because they don't think that they're actually going to get anywhere with it. Fanone retired in 2021, but has served as an on-air contributor for CNN. When Donald Trump was indicted over J6 event last week, the former cop described being full of jubilation upon hearing the news, likening it to the day we killed Osama bin Laden. He later called Donald Trump a terrorist. Oh, I forgot another reason why no one cared about Fanone's J6 testimony. He's unspooled. Trump being indicted for a third time is akin to killing bin Laden is not a serious assessment, but is on a brand for CNN and its viewers. We shouldn't have expected anything less from the network, whose overpaid crew of Democratic operatives have called J6 an event worse than 9/11 attack in Pearl Harbor. No wonder why Mr. Fanoni fits right in there. No wonder. No wonder. So, Mr. Fanoni, was, working for CNN, thinks that his analysis is about correct and true when it says it's something similar to the ignorance of actually killing Osama bin Laden. How ignorant can we be to actually believe that J6 was anything near any of those instances that were actually listed? I don't believe that is true. As long as citizens are still political prisoners in our own country, we should keep talking about it. Exactly. And that's why, though so many people are so afraid to actually read about this stuff and actually cover it, I'm still willing to actually do this and actually bring you the information that comes through for him to actually go ahead and actually believe that it was such a thing, to actually put it up to the likenesses of attacking Osama bin Laden, and or saying that it's similar to Pearl Harbor, is incorrect. Yes, something happened. Did it happen the way they actually say it happened? Absolutely not. Did we look at all the footage? Did we look at all the footage that was out there? No. We selected the stuff that would actually help spin the stupid ass narrative to actually go along with it. It's so disgusting to actually see how far they've decided to go. I got one for Christmas. Who's jealous? Officer Shtick died in unrelated causes. Exactly. The only one that actually died at this particular event was the one and only Ashley Babbitt. Rest in peace. For what it is, Cherry Satora with Kiddo. Yes. We want the informations, though. Yeah, I know, but everybody's afraid to actually cover it and give you the informations. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's afraid to actually say any of this stuff. Nobody wants to actually pull these up and say, "Oh, look at this, that, and the other thing," that actually comes along with all this bullshit that is actually being pushed through that particular, event. We already covered the judge. We covered the judge. We'll close that. Smith's charges against Trump do not include potential death penalty if he's convicted. So previously there was an article that we actually covered where it actually said that he was looking at the potentiality of a death penalty because, there's the instance of somebody actually, dying because of the stuff that actually happened. That's incorrect. The number of serious felonies, including one of which the death penalty may be imposed, are included in special counsel Jack Smith's indictment in former President Trump on Tuesday for his part in the effort to challenge the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Breitbart's Joel Pollack explained in a report in 18 U.S.C. 241 conspiracy against rights includes a penalty of up to 10 years in federal prison if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, intimidate any person in the state, territory, commonwealth, possession of the district, and free exercise and enjoyment of any right and privilege secured due him by constitution or law in the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same. Or if two or more persons were in disguise in the highway or on a premises or another, with intent to prevent or hinder his free exercise and enjoyment of the right to privilege so secured. They shall be fined under the title of imprisonment not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts committed in violation to the section, acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse or attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse and attempt to kill, they shall be fined under the total of imprisoned for any term of years or for life or both, and may be sentenced to death. It's detailed that Pollack in the report below are a few of the alleged crimes of J6 indictment against Trump that could include possible lengthy prison terms and penalty. conspiracy, obstruction. Pollock wrote in a report, if Trump is convicted of all 4 charges and receives maximum non-lethal penalty, he could be in prison for 55 years if the sentences. It's wrong. That in addition to 460 years in prison for the documents, and 515 years or half of a millennium when it comes to anything else. It's so stupid. It was revealed on Tuesday that Trump had been indicted again by Smith stemming from his investigation for J6. According to Fox News, this is the second federal indictment the former president faces out of Smith's investigation. Trump, who leads the 2024 GOP presidential primary field, has already pleaded not guilty to 37 counts related to the alleged improper retention. Trump faces several charges in the probe. This is the second time in U.S. history that a former president has faced charges in federal criminal probe. This is nothing more than the latest corrupt chapter of continued pathetic attempt by the Biden crime family and their weaponized Department of Justice to interfere with 2024, in which President Trump is an undisputed frontrunner and leader to a substantial margin. Supposedly, according to yesterday, they're tied, both Biden and Trump, at 46 or 47%, some shit. President Trump has always followed the law and Constitution and advised as many highly accomplished attorneys. This is an American witch hunt and will fail. President Trump will be reelected to the White House so he can save our country from the abuse, incompetence, corruption running through the veins of the country at a level that never. Editor note, the original version of the story incorrectly stated the charges against Trump included the potential of death penalty. A fact check from USA Today determined that the special counsel's office overseeing the prosecution told USA Today the claim is false, explaining that Trump's case does not meet the requirements for capital punishment. Legal experts agreed the claim is not valid and pointed out death penalty as rare, even as applicable cases. Smith's office also said the claim that the death penalty is on the table in Trump's case is false. We have updated our story and headlines. It's false. He will not actually catch a death penalty in anything, no matter what happens. It's not true. It's not true. Federal judge tosses Trump's defamation suit against E.G. and Carroll. Everything just keeps on snowballing. They keep on bringing up more and more and more bullshit. Nobody wants to give him a death penalty. Nobody wants to kill him. Nobody. Thank you, Twitty, for posting all that. Federal judge dismissed former President Donald Trump's defamation lawsuit against former Elle magazine columnist E.G. Carroll on Monday. Trump countersued Carroll in late June after grand jury found him liable for defamation. Just the defamation. They actually dropped the assault charge. That was not true. For them to actually still continuously put that in there is ignorant to the point. It was just the defamation stuff that actually, came to the forefront. Everything else was dropped. Carroll publicly claimed that he had raped her in a dressing room in Manhattan's Bergdorf Goodman department store. Trump alleged Carroll defamed him by telling CNN she thought in her head, oh, yes, he did. Oh, yes, he did. After the jury found Trump not liable for the raping allegations, the judge ruled her remarks are substantially true. Since the jury decided Trump digitally that he digitally penetrated her and didn't use his own genitalia, which New York law requires to prosecute for rape charge. In fact, both acts constitute rape. In common parlance, the definition in some dictionaries, in some federal and state criminal statutes and elsewhere, but not New York. So for you to actually continuously bring it up and actually make it sound like it's something that he actually did when he actually didn't do it, is ignorant in itself. But he actually goes back to try actually suing them, countersuit, and they actually go ahead and they dropped it. They dismissed the case. They didn't want anything to do with the case any longer. So that case maybe will never be heard of again. Let's just not talk about it. Let's drop it. Let's make it a thing that just should never happen. Did they take this video too? Oh, this is a series of videos. That's right. This is a series of videos. So we actually went through this the other day where we actually, hear her actually go through and speak with that Mongolian gentleman when it came down to it. So then, she's several times where she goes ahead and, this is the one where she actually says, clap, and then laughs after saying, okay, now you can clap for me, whatever. So there's multiple instances of her ignorance when it comes down to it. And when that she fails at all so often. So then, and the reason I bring it up is because of the next one. Because over and over again, she decides to do stupid things. CNN host presses Kamala's ex-coms director by VP's new messaging shift. A CNN host pressed Vice President Kamala Harris, former comms director, Monday over her new messaging shift during the CNN This Morning panel. The host questioned Jamal Simmons, the former communications director, about the 2024 Republican presidential primary candidates taking aim at the vice president rather than solely focusing on Joe Biden.
Daniel, let me start with you because this is your reporting. And I wonder, though, why now? I mean, it suggests that maybe an argument against the president may not be working, so they have to shift toward the vice president.
Yeah, but it also does other thing. Number one, it highlights Biden's age. And number two, it does something that at a very base level voters respond to, and that's the unknown.
MLS Law, what is up? Good to see you. He says, where's Joe? I heard Joe is here. Joe was here. Joe is here for an early show with me or whatever to actually do a members only stream like you and I are doing this coming weekend. He was actually here. It was a very fun and interesting conversation that you can actually go back and view from that earlier show. This is just my normal Shtick with Koolfrogg that I actually run at night. That runs from 8:30 p.m. until whenever I decide to end, which I don't see actually lasting very long. Tonight, hopefully I can be done within the next hour or so. But yes, there is a show that was actually put up with a conversation between myself and him. And you being a member, you can actually go back and you can actually watch such a thing. If you're not a member, you won't be able to see it. Something kind of similar to what kind of, like a conversation that, that we might actually have ourselves this coming weekend that everybody should actually be wanting to check out.
We know what a Biden presidency would be like in a Republican primary. The idea, or what we don't know about a potential Harris presidency, is a pretty ominous idea. And that's why those are the two reasons that multiple candidates are attacking Harris in this way.
Oh, you work. Remind people what you did with the vice president.
It's amazing. You come to me first.
Mr. Former comms director.
I was a communications director until January. Yeah. Listen, I think this is a really complicated argument for Republicans to make, and it's a little bit silly. It's a bank shot, right? You got to hit Kamala Harris in order to go after Joe Biden. And that means you've got to ask voters to do two things at the same time. And it just seems to me like there's a simpler argument. Either you think Joe Biden should be president or you don't think Joe Biden should be president. To go after the vice president, I think, is a little bit more complicated. And voters don't usually make strategic voting decisions. They vote for the person they want in the top job.
But I think Daniel reporting is great. The New York Times piece this weekend is really fascinating, where it calls her this is quoting, a one-woman rapid response operation. Yeah. And it says that her going on the offense, like we've seen in Florida on abortion, a number of times on the curriculum change, is a notable shift. Is this where she is really in her comfort zone? Does she want this?
Listen, when people first came nationally to know Kamala Harris when she was prosecuting people on the Judiciary Committee, going after folks, when she went after Joe Biden on the debate stage in those early primary debates. And so I think her prosecuting her opponents, prosecuting the case against her opponents is her sweet spot in terms of her public presentation. So they should keep doing it. This is a woman who's got the intellect, she's got the stamina, toughness, and also the instinct to make sure all Americans are included in the American enterprise. The question on the other side is, are they only going to talk about Donald Trump in 2020? And if you're having a conversation between President Biden and Vice President Harris about the economy improving, inflation going down, protecting a woman's right to reproductive choice, and making slavery, talking about the perils of slavery and our unison around that, if you're having that conversation, you're actually in a much better place than people who are arguing about whether or not Donald Trump committed crimes in 2020.
Mar, I want to get you on this, and then I want to move on to something that just. Daniel, let me start with you because
this guy's so great.
No one, whether or not Trump lost.
For him to actually go ahead and actually call it out for the way it is, to go after the vice president, I think is a little more complicated, and the voters usually don't make strategic voting decisions. They vote for the person they want. I think he's kind of ignorant on his point or whatever when it comes down to it. I actually think that there's more people that actually do take their time to actually understand what people are actually about and who they should actually vote for. There's a lot of people that don't have the time or the abilities to do so. But at the same time, I believe that more and more people are waking up to the issues that are at hand, and they can actually see where this has actually gone and how far it's actually gone, to actually hopefully wake up to the point of actually realizing that a Harris ticket is not ever going to be the best place for anybody to actually go for. Let's hope that never actually happens, because that will be a very, very scary America under Kamala Harris's tutelage. She'll probably teach us all to get down on our knees. You guys are great. Tweety, are you learning how to write news articles? Tweety, fake US news. Yes, she's learning. She's getting better. She really is learning. As far as your attorney skills go, I can't actually contest that, so I don't really know. I don't know you well enough. It should be a fun Saturday where we actually figure out if how good of an attorney you really are, or if you're just better at being a YouTuber. We'll ask you some questions, and we'll can't wait. I'm excited. I am excited just as well as you are. Can we get over slavery, for fuck's sake? Maybe, just maybe, Jerry. I'm kind of with you on that one. It seems like it's something that's continuously thrust in front of our faces, that we seem to think is something legitimate. I mean, yet if we still deal with things like minimum wage and multiple other things that actually goes along with still being forms of slavery in itself, it really seriously, no. Can we get away with it? No, I don't think we can ever get away from it. I think it's something that's always going to be, and we're always going to have to deal with it. Give me my reparations. Yeah. That's what they want. So one last thing on Camel Toe Harris. She actually got fact checked today. Look at that. Over 13 million jobs have been created since we took office. Unemployment is under 4%, the longest stretch in over 50 years. More Americans are joining the labor force. Bidenomics is working. Readers added context. Look at that. The over 13 million jobs total is factually correct, but missing important context. In July 2023 figure is 4 million higher than February of 2020. peak of employment before coup, forced shutdowns and layoffs. It's more accurate to say 9 million jobs had been recovered and only 4 million were created. There you go. Thank you for the context check. When it comes down to it, this lady and her thoughts and opinions the whole administration has just so happens to be in itself false, just like most of the other shit that they actually force on us to actually believe that Bidenomics is a good thing. Now, sorry, Bidenomics is not a good thing. And I have a feeling that we're actually going to be running into something that's not healthy for our country whatsoever. The bottom up and the center out. Seems to be just as something that's ignorant to say as what the Democrats used to say would be with trickle down economics. That was actually not something that ever happened. They always tried to say it was a lie, to only now say, well, it didn't work that way, so let's now go this way. So which is it? Is it a lie? Was it a lie? Is Bidenomics really going to work for us when it comes down to it, or is it just a word so that way you can actually put your name in the history book as being the most ignorant asshole ever to come up with another term to run for another term for presidency? Thank you so much, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, for being so ignorant and forgetting that a lot of this, as the context says, 9 million jobs were recovered. That's where it is. So ignorant, so dumb. So then, exclusive, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis eyeing racketeering charges this week, but against who? Emails reviewed Georgia officials knew for months about severe malfunctions with certain types of machinery. This would be the least of three-part series of involving a deafening silence of Georgia's Secretary of State office regarding the 2020. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis's investigation into the 2020 in Georgia has sent the Mockingbird media into a frenzy and will likely lead to the fourth indictment of President Trump. Of course it will. Why wouldn't we want to indict him yet one more time? Let's go for it, because it doesn't make any sense to not. This should have actually been a couple before this, I think. Once another juicy Biden story is disclosed, leaked CCTV footage shows cyber experts entering the Coffee County Elections Office recently as they were some clandestine spy operations. Jesus Christ. They walked in through the front door of the public building. In reality, they've been very public about their investigation, what was done, what was found, and most importantly, why it was done. Jeff Landberg, one of the experts sneaking into the public building of Coffee County, sat down with me to go over the incredible findings of both Georgia and Michigan for a later part of the series. But none of the Mockingbird outlets reported on what happened before January 5th runoff election. That doesn't fit the narrative that President Trump was trying to unjustly influence officials to commit crimes. Emails and text messages obtained in Gateway Pundit show that at least one of the individuals targeted by DA Willis had been raising concerns to Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Gabriel Sterling. Specifically, Sterling, you may recall, is being paid $114,000 as a state of Georgia employee before taking a private contract in November 2019 through January 2021. for $200,000 a year, according to Atlanta Journal-Constitution. According to Sterling's LinkedIn, he resumed his official state job in January of 2021. They claim this is to avoid benefit payouts or something, but conventionally, it also would make Sterling immune to open records requested in public oversight of a state official. There were numerous issues with elections in Georgia since the implementation of the new machines in 2019. At least minutes, a last minute update was authorized at the machines by Judge Amy Totenberg prior to the 2020 general election. There were thousands of previously unknown ballots that were mysteriously revealed during hand counts conducted after the initial machine count in November of 2020 in numerous Georgia counties. To try to resolve the issue, one of them needed access to the ballot images as granted by the court. However, Fannie Willis's own Fulton County and dozens of other counties deleted a vast majority of the first machine count ballot images. Accidentally, of course. For many counties, the only ballot images that exist in the 2020 general election were those produced during the machine recount that ended after the revealing hand count audit. Really? You don't say. But in at least one county, issues began with 2020 primaries, and emails show they sought guidance from Georgia's Secretary of State office, which seems to have fallen on deaf ears. You would never know. This is all the news surrounding the issue of Coffee County. Focus on what happened after the 2020 election. In January Senate runoff, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger sat down with 11 Alive in September 2022 and then asked, did the Secretary of State's office take the Coffee County issue seriously? And if you had, wouldn't you have been able to get the information months ago? Raffensperger responded, well, we have provided the information, and now it appears to be apparent that these people are not speaking truthfully to our investigators. Oh, you're going to go and lie to the investigator and what actually happened to actually spin it to make it sound like it wasn't you that actually had the issue or done something wrong, that it was somebody else. An affidavit submitted by Chairwoman in Coffee County Republican Party Kathy Latham, the emails obtained exclusively by the Gateway Pundit show that Raffensperger and Sterling knew about the issues in Coffee County more than 2 years prior to that interview in the last 4 months before the 2020 election. On September 17th, 2020, Latham was involved in a Zoom call that Raffensperger and Sterling, they were going over a particular voting system and some COOFs safety measures during that call. Latham stated that the Coffee County Bureau of Elections needed new or additional scanners because of what occurred during the presidential primary. Raffensperger assured Latham that he would get Gabriel Sterling on it. Sterling sent Latham an email address through this chat, and it was a private email, which is not subject to open records request. On October 5th, 2020, Latham emailed Sterling and said, my Board of Elections President Matthew McCullough wanted to know what it would be to take an extra scanner for the county. Brad said that it would not be a problem, and he'd let you know. Julian Thompson was supposed to forward my information where we are the county that ours broke during scanning and had to go several counties over after midnight at one from Cook County. On October 8th, Sterling persistently responded, I'm looking into this for you. On October 27th, Latham followed up, were you able to get an extra scanner to Coffee County? I know they had problems running some test ballots. When the email failed to get any attention from the private contractor whom Raffensperger had delegated the task to. Latham text message Raffensperger, "Good morning. I really hate to bother you. I've emailed Gabriel about the extra scanner for Coffee County. He said he was working on it, but that it was all over. All I've heard, the chair of the BOE said that when they ran preliminary ballots as a test, the scanner kept messing up, just trying to help." Raffensperger responded, "I will check with him." On the night of November 3rd election, Latham asked the chair of the BOE if the new scanner had arrived. Latham was informed that Coffee was offered an option to purchase a scanner for over $20,000. Latham was shocked that Coffee County would be on the hook for less than a year-old voting machine that can't scan ballots properly without major malfunctions. Issues that had been brought to Raffensperger and Sterling's attention months earlier and went unresolved. The Coffee County elections issue persisted with from the primary through the general election and into the January Senate runoff. The Coffee County BOE wrote the House Governmental Affairs Committee on December 10th, 2020, with concerns about certifying the November 3rd results. As you know, the certification process requires election supervisors to swear under oath and under penalty of perjury the certified votes are true and accurate in reflection of the count or recount. Coffee County could not honestly make such an attestation given to inherent inconsistencies existing with electronic summary report generated with Dominion voting systems. The decision not to certify was a result of unanimous vote by Coffee County BOE. However, this decision was not made until the board could first have the data reviewed and explained by the representative. He had no explanation for the inaccuracies. He could not reconcile the electronic recount report data to explain how it is dramatically different from the two prior counts. No one could explain what was wrong or what to do. No one from the Secretary of State of office came to help the board determine if it made an error, if its inaccuracies are Dominion software related. A video created by Coffee County BOE meeting, which is now widely distributed via the internet. This video demonstrates how the Dominion system can be manipulated to alter existing ballots results and create voter ballots out of thin air. This security issue was first discovered by the Coffee County BOE supervisor in June 2020. The findings were reported in the state representative's Dominic Larissa on and about June 10th, 2020, with the hopes that someone unassociated with Dominion would scrutinize the problem. The board never heard a word from Mr. Larissa or anyone from the Secretary of State's office or state government. The Coffee County BOA has for many months reported various aspects of these problems to the Secretary of State, receiving no assistance or correcting these problems. As for the investigation, the Secretary of State chose not to assist us and help evaluate the root cause of the refusal to certify election recount, but certified the statewide election result despite our findings. This is particularly disappointing given that Eric Cheney personally called Chris Harvey and Dennis Carbone on November 13, 2020, to express his concerns over the Dominion system. Mr. Harvey nor Mr. Carbone returned a phone call, but the deafening silence from people in authority regarding our concern go back to June 2020. Their indifference is unfortunate. Really? This is part one of at least a 3-part series on Georgia's 2020 issues. So I will actually continue to read the rest of those actually as they become available. It's kind of interesting how they actually go over how they could actually print things out of thin air that never existed before, as well as the disallowance of actually conversating with each other in any way, shape, or form, being cut off and just not helped the resistance from over and over again just seems to be lacking, and kind of interesting to actually see where this will actually go in the long run, and if it will actually lead to that fourth indictment. If it does lead to a fourth indictment, I mean, okay, great. Let's throw some more shit at him because whatever, it's fine. He's got thick skin and he can actually handle it. Keep on indicting the guy, and you're gonna find out who actually does win. And we might just actually find out that it might just be this guy that we all just seem to fear so much, or told to that we should fear so much because Orange Man bad. Kind of interesting, something that we'll actually continue to cover as these next couple articles come out in the next few days. Alabama's redistricting, we've actually gone over this several times. They're still having issues. The newly redrawn maps aren't good enough for Democrats. Democrats are like, no, that can't be the lines. We need to actually gerrymander ourselves through it, as opposed to allowing Republicans to draw the line. A federal court in Alabama will soon decide whether the recently passed map by the state Republican lawmakers will stand in 2024 election, a legal fight that could ascend to the Supreme Court not long after the justice ruled against the previous map that lacked a second black majority district. Democrats and activist groups have vehemently pushed back over a new congressional map passed by Republican-controlled legislature last month. Meanwhile, GOP defenders of the map say that High Court did not explicitly require proportionality or a second black majority district. Do we need to seriously be so damn racist over and over again? Just do what they want, give them a stupid seat, and stop being ignorant. Rep. Terry Sowell, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, filed a brief on Thursday saying that redistricting plan Alabama legislature approved July 21st SB 5 dilutes the voting strength of black voters in Alabama and violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Does it? Because, if you actually go ahead and you need to create it to actually be a specific district, to actually, hold so many, because each district can only hold so many people. So we didn't like the line going down this road. We want the line to go down this other road. And we want it to actually look like it's going to actually, do something good for a particular community, which, is gerrymandering in itself. It's really, really stupid. Maybe House seats need to be, as opposed to being gerrymandered, and lines being drawn for each individual district, you have your state map and it goes off of population, and everybody across the whole state gets to actually choose. I mean, I could be wrong, because that might actually take away from all of those that actually would actually have a Republican on their side. It's really kind of stupid to actually believe how far we've actually gone with this. MLS says he hates journalists, so we troll each other. I like him in spite of his efforts to make me dislike him. Well, fake U.S. news, it's okay. It's okay. We like you. We still like you as a person. It's okay. Terry Sowell, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, filed a brief on Thursday saying the redistricting plan of Alabama legislature approved on July 21st. SB 5 dilutes the voting strength. Robert Fram, the attorney of Sowell and CBC members, stated that the proposal renders impossible electoral victory for any black preferred candidate and fails constraints of recent high court decision against the state's 2021 map and Allen v. Milligan, a narrow 5-4 decision. They're not going to be, there's no way that they're going to have a congressional map drawn up and ready for this particular election series if they don't actually get on top of this and actually just do the right thing. Conversely, the National Republican Redistricting Trust, the party's redistricting arm, has said that the Supreme Court's holding in Milligan maintains that indecipherable status quo that will require clarity sooner than later, according to the statement on June 8th. The new map's provision include changes to the 7th Congressional District, which would have 51% black voting age population of the district. Court approves of the map. The 2nd District also loses Ottawaga County, Conca County, and parts of Elmore and Covington counties, but not include Lowndes, Macomb, and Russell counties. The black voting age population in the 2nd District would rise from 32 to roughly about 40. Is 40 enough? Is 40 enough to get you what you want? Do you really seriously need to redraw the lines to get a measly 8% that's not going to be near enough to actually elect an official? Really? Why would you take it so damn far for absolutely no reason? Before arriving in high court, the district court's earlier opinion in that case stated that any remedial plan will need to include 2 districts in which black voters either comprise a voting age majority or something quite close to it. However, some legal experts noticed that the Supreme Court's majority opinion notably excludes the quote, and that Justice Clarence Thomas's dissent referenced it as a thinly disguised benchmark. In some, the district court's thinly disguised benchmark was proportionately black Alabamians are about 2/7 of the state's population, so they should control 2 of the state's 7 congressional seats. Ilya Shapiro, a director of constitutional studies in Manhattan Institute, penned an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal on July 31st, saying that the media talking point is that the state is defying the justices is a case of gaslighting. It is also a remarkable act of projection because the challengers to Alabama's new map are asking a federal district court to defy the justices by ordering racially proportionate redistricting, which the Supreme Court rejected. In concurrent opinion of Milligan case of Justice Brett Kavanaugh, he stated that Section 2 of the VRA go against the Constitution if it required a redistricting map to reflect the state's racial demographics. Chief Justice John Roberts, also in agreement, stated that Section 2 never requires an adoption of a district that violates traditional redistricting principles. Federal judges Stanley Marcus, Anna Manisco, and Terry Moore said in filing of federal court on Tuesday that the trial on the merits will not take place until after the hearing slated for August 14th. That 3-judge panel will be tasked to decide if the newly enacted map passed by Republicans will stand up to upcoming 2024 election. There's a tight time frame for debates over Alabama's congressional map. State officials say that the final map must be in place by early October to provide candidates with enough time to prepare for primary election in March. If the 3-judge panel rules the map must be redrawn again with the 2nd majority black district, a special master may be commissioned to revise the map and subsequently could better the odds of the 2 Democrats who will represent Alabama in the House. And if the district court does reject the new GOP drawn map, that could also prompt an emergency appeal back up to the Supreme Court. They're just going to sit there and fight with each other ignorantly over and over again to see if they can actually get somewhere that they're never going to get. Jason Torshinsky, a partner in Holzman Vogel, specialized in election law, told the Washington Examiner he believes the case is ripe for Alabama Republicans to seek another shot in the high court. Alabama is an interesting position, is clearly on the path to take another run for the U.S. Supreme Court argument. It's so ignorant and so disgusting. Good logic mini raid. Did he end already? Awesome. Good to see you, Judge Maddie. Awesome. Mini raid. Usually Judge Maddie uses mini raid as he's the one that actually came over. Y'all hit that like button as we move through the night here. Oh, Sanders serves Arkansas Supreme Court conservative with latest appointment. Really? Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders has made history once again in her state. Sanders appointed Cody Highland to the state Supreme Court, giving Republicans control of the state Supreme Court for the first time. State Republicans last year elected the 51-year-old Highland chairman of the state party. From 2017 to 2020, he served as U.S. Attorney of the Eastern District of Arkansas, following his appointment by then-President Donald Trump. The report detailed Highland also served as legal counsel for Arkansas Department of Public Safety and prosecuted for the 20th Judicial District of Arkansas. Today, I appointed former prosecutor and U.S. Attorney Cody Highland, marking the first time the court will be conservative majority. Cody brings decades of legal experience to the job, and I am confident he will serve our state well. This is the first time Arkansas Supreme Court is a conservative majority, and I know it will have some effect on our state as it has had in our country. We will be there to call balls and strikes in interpreting state law as is written in leaving legislation as the legislature. Is as far as it goes to actually see Sarah Huckabee actually going ahead and actually doing such a thing and actually appointing a conservative judge to the seat to actually see this actually happen could actually really affect Arkansas state laws massively, and we could actually see a lot of things actually changing in and around Arkansas. Those of you from Arkansas or that have any interest in Arkansas may actually see a lot of laws change real quick in swift within the next year or so. You might see some stuff that you just come out of Arkansas with leaving your jaw drop. It could be very fun to see what actually happens. I'm going to actually reshare that so we can get the audio on that. Mitch McConnell heckled, met with chance of retire and ditch Mitch. So, he Fancy Farm, something that actually happens on a yearly-ish basis, actually goes along and actually has multiple different people that are actually running for different seats, actually go ahead and actually get into something. Change is chaotic and people will resist it, even if it's for the benefit. Northwest Arkansas is gorgeous. I could easily retire there. Ah, there you go. Sorry. Got to reshare it. I shared it wrong again. You're not going to hear it that way.
I just told David Beck his introduction is longer than my speech. Elaine and I are really excited to be back at Fancy Farm on behalf of the strongest Republican team we've ever run in our state.
Boo! Ditch Mitch!
For those of you who keep count, this is my 28th Fancy Farm. My 28th Fancy Farm. I want to thank Father Venters and Stephen Elder for finding a way to keep Fancy Farm going, even with pork prices going through the roof.
Can anybody hear what he's actually saying? Or are you actually hearing the audience actually go ahead and just berate this man for anything and everything that he's about? It's amazing to actually hear. He wins back some of the crowd with cheesy tactics. It's embarrassing. Britt Bratt, good to see you. Glad you're here. What's up, Mimsy? Awesome.
Thanks to the Kentucky State Police and local law enforcement. we're keeping folks safe this weekend. Now, here's the challenge for the police. Here's the challenge for the police. With the shutdown governor in charge, I'm sure state troopers are just glad to be on.
Can anybody make out a word that's coming out of this turtle's mouth? I think
Church property without having to tag license plates. My friends, I'll be honest, it's not hard for Republicans to look good these days. We're up.
It's not hard for Republicans to look good these days, but them rhinos, on the other hand, they got a couple of issues when it comes down to it.
Against the folks who gave you record high inflation. We're up against folks who closed schools and then told you that teachers unions know what's best for your kids. We're up against folks who'd rather let repeat offenders walk free than get tough on crime. I'm glad Governor Beshear.
Retire. Let's do that. Let's retire. I don't really care what the guy has to say. I don't think that he should actually be a senator any longer. He's been there for way too long. He doesn't deserve to go back. He deserves to actually retire. We watched him actually get up to a podium and actually stand there for a blank 30 seconds because he got dizzy. He's actually repeated to himself that he's actually gone ahead and he's actually fallen down flat on his own face several times over the last several months. And he's done. He's washed up. Something that we don't need to actually pay attention to any longer. We need to actually get rid of this old piece of crap and replace him with somebody that maybe actually do something good for Kentucky, for the Senate. I really don't see him actually being something that we really seriously need to keep around. Fuck them all, jibby jab. Yeah, sure. Yep, here. Yes, exactly that. Get rid of this old bag and just stop thinking that this is actually going to be the person that's going to actually save us from anything. He's not. He's done. He's washed up. He's made his billions of dollars. He's no longer needed. I say billions, but I could be wrong. I don't even know. I'll take a look real quick. So let's see, Mitch McConnell net worth. An estimated net worth of $34,137,534 as of 2018. As of 2018, they don't have an updated number for anything close to 2023. So in the last 5 years, do you think he hasn't bolstered that and made a heck of a lot more money off of the things like Koof, off of things like Ukraine, off of things that this guy has actually put his likeness to? When you come down to it, and you actually you remember the evergreen that was actually stuck in the Suez Canal a couple years ago. Oh yeah, that guy. He had something to do with that too. He had something to do with that company that actually runs that. His wife. Yep, exactly. I wish. Where is America Shirts? Where are you? I know that he would just love to actually hear this and actually just go off. If you just hit me up and say anything, seriously, it's going on a month. It's going on a month since I've heard from him. I hope he is okay and safe. But Mitch McConnell, done with you. Go away. Everybody get ready to actually cheer and clap. Get excited. Hillary Clinton rushed to emergency room by ambulance. Oh, really? An emergency medical situation quickly unfolded within an hour yesterday, Monday afternoon. Hillary Clinton the wife of President Bill Clinton, was transported by ambulance from her home in Chappaqua, New York, to an emergency room in a hospital located in the immediate area. According to sources, Hillary was fine 1 minute in serious difficulty the next minute. Other information regarding the abrupt and life-threatening occurrence was not made available to the public. Hal Turner radio show exclusive reported yesterday. Hillary is no stranger to medical emergencies, as she seemed to suffer a series of alarming health-related issues while running for president against Donald Trump in 2016. She tried her best to conceal what appeared to be an evolving condition that was never publicly addressed, leading to a lot of questions and conspiracy due to the secrecy of what she seemed to be hiding. In order to keep the specifics of her medical care a secret during her campaigning in 2016, Hillary was on her way to an emergency room after her terrifying collapse on the 11th of September memorial ceremony. However, she made a detour to her daughter Chelsea Clinton's residence to avoid attention to the matter. In the wake of the health emergency, according to the sources, Secret Service protocol called for the Democratic presidential nominee to be taken to the state-designated Level 1 trauma center that would be Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan. However, a campaign operative changed tactics to avoid having Clinton visit the medical professional who might divulge information to reporters. A second source added that Secret Service took Clinton away from the ground zero before police. Of course, they're going to actually kind of, inflate this and be like, oh, look at all the other things there. She had actually fallen down, or she had hurt herself, or she actually got herself, in trouble where she actually needed to be taken to a hospital of sorts. Mrs. Clinton suffered a concussion earlier this month after fainting and falling down. At the time, she was reported to have had stomach virus and to have passed out after becoming dehydrated. Details of the medical emergency on Monday, June 12, 2023 are still unfolding. Please check back if Clinton and her team make any information and announcements in the matter public. Oh, really? Oh, really? America's Shirts are first.com. That is the website that you can actually go and actually order shirts from. America's Shirts. Go away, Hillary Clinton. We don't like you anymore. Nobody has ever liked you. I wish that she would just go away. Against Secret Service protocol. So did she fight them and grab a wheel like Trump? Yeah. Yep, she did just that. She did just that. We're getting down to the end. So a few things real quick. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we actually went through Neil actually going ahead and saying what the hell, to Neil apologizing for asking why it's a good idea to let kids pick their gender. He actually found himself being very, very ridiculed and potentially gone after by those that like to try canceling people for their thoughts and opinions. But then again, oops, I apologize. I didn't mean what I said. Don't come after me. Please don't come after me. I don't want that. With the ignorance that this guy had already gone through, he decided to actually backtrack his words and make it be that it's not how I feel. It's really not how I feel. I skipped the disturbing news for the night. It seemed as there's a lot of people that really didn't care for the disturbing stuff that I actually was pushing. When it comes down to certain age limits, though, I kind of have the tendency to still point out yet another 19-year-old died playing football. Some kind of an interesting ordeal that suddenly seems to be happening to multiple people across the United States, around the world. And it's very sad and disturbing to actually believe that we lost a young 19-year-old playing football. Rest in peace, Taj Boyd. Anybody want to guess why that happened? Tyson Foods to shut down 4 U.S. chicken plants that blow to small towns on Monday. Tyson Foods, a major supplier responsible for approximately 20% of beef, pork, and poultry in the United States, announced the closure of 4 chicken plants. These plants, situated in two locations in Missouri, one in Indiana and one in Arkansas, were being shut down to a decrease in chicken revenue. This decision follows the company's prior announcement of 2 plant closures during the spring. The company's financial report in the quarter ending on July 1st revealed a decline of around 3.5% in chicken revenue. Despite the increase in production volumes, the prices experienced a notable drop of 5.5%. On the broader scale of the United States, a combination of reduced demand in retail and limited discounts at restaurants contributed to decline in prices of boneless chicken breast meat during the second quarter. This information comes from the report published by Robobank in July. The report indicates that chicken breast prices plummeted by 60% compared to the same period last year, which had seen record high levels. The drop can be attributed to abundant supply of chicken and a variety of alternatives such as ground beef. During the analyst call on Monday, Tyson CEO Donnie King attributed the decline in the company's chicken sales to those prevailing market conditions. Market conditions in chicken are still challenged, with commodity prices across most cut remain significantly lower compared to last year, King said. You don't say. Just so happens to be a major supplier of frozen goods that there's so many kids that love so much that are going to actually feel a hit that has to be quite a few jobs lost, as well as taken away from distribution of chicken in itself. And when it comes down to it, we have the tendency to actually pay attention to, these types of situations and keep it documented on what is actually going on in and around the United States when it comes to food production. We won't blame it on any other kind of chicken related issue that has actually previously happened, but okay. Oh, this lady. Anybody see this earlier? You might have actually caught this. This lady is ridiculously excited how easily she was able to actually pay for her goods just by scanning the palm of her hand.
I'm at Whole Foods and I'm about to pay for my groceries with my door. That's the coolest thing ever.
That's the coolest thing ever. It just scanned my hand and went ahead and charged me correctly for all the goods that I just purchased at this convenient Whole Food store. What in the god dang hell is going on? Why would you want such a thing? Wouldn't it be super easy to actually go ahead and actually get a, hand from somebody? We're going to find handless people, rich people that us and just so happen to have their bank accounts squandered. I don't want to do that. I'll put in my numbers. I'll push in anything for a number before I go, and I put my hand over the top of something to pay for it. For it to, eyeless, yes. It scanned the palm of her hand, which means they had to have actually taken a scan of her hand completely to actually get that to actually work properly. It's really seriously gross and disturbing to see such a thing actually be a deal. I don't like it. I find it very disturbing in itself. How do y'all feel about that? She was super giddy about it. She's like, oh, look at that. Oh my God, that happened and it worked. Nope. Just nope. I see your, um, was a teen. No, yeah, it said he was 19 as opposed to an adult. Yes, as opposed to an adult. Those that were younger actually had bouts and deals with such things as myocarditis and other heart ailments when it came into dealing with certain things, and usually had major heart issues when it came down to it. And yeah, I would not think that it was any other reason than that when they actually mark it as suddenly. And one last little video. This is really weird. I have no clue what she actually really says. I find it kind of disturbing that she is not paying attention to what she should be. So this is Rapinoe. Look what she actually does. Let's see if I can't make that any bigger. No. Okay. What? What? Anybody know exactly what it is that actually came out of this lady's mouth? I have no clue. I listened to this so many times. Huh? Do you that's a potential, Tweety. That's a potential, but it kind of like you can see she's wearing a jacket and no shirt. Kind of weird. Something about money. Sup, ho? I don't know. Really weird. Really weird and very strange to actually see. I'm just so confused. What a British accent, but even with the British accent, what is it that she actually says? Oh, I can actually get this a little bigger. Let's see if I can actually zoom in on this a little bit more again. It's slightly bigger. Oh, it made it smaller again. How dumb. Okay. Well, I really don't know what it is that she actually said. It's really weird. And wow, she's rude, loser. This is like seriously nobody's like can figure out what it is that she actually said. But yeah, I'm with you on that trash. It's a baby soccer ball. But what does she say when she's not paying attention to what she's supposed to be paying attention to, and goes ahead and actually she calling out the lady in the blue dress that was walking up the aisle, and they don't realize that that's who she was actually hollering at. And why would she wear a jacket with no shirt underneath? What is up with that? It's really weird. Really weird. All right, y'all. Short night for you. It was just under, that was 2 hours and 43 minutes. 2 hours and 43 minutes. We'll see if we can't actually redirect you somewhere. Don't know if we actually have anybody or not that we can do that with, but we'll take a quick glance. Nice. We'll go to Monkey. Go to the Ranting Monkey. I like sending people to the Ranting Monkey. Love y'all so much. Thank you again. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't done so, please hit the like button. Share this out to let your friends know where you like to hang out and let them know to come back later. Love y'all. Don't forget to check out myself in MLS Law this weekend, as well as uh, 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 um, as well as the baker. We'll actually be there as well on Sunday. Again, thank you all so much, and later.